Are you homeschooling a child who has ADHD and you're about to pull your hair out? Well, I have some tips to help you out, so stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Bonnie from Mrs. Mom's Homeschool and welcome to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm a homeschooling mom and I've been homeschooling since 2012. I make videos to help you on your homeschooling journey, whether you are a new homeschooler or a veteran homeschooler looking for some new ideas. Then make sure to subscribe to this channel and check out my playlist of videos for more content. Today I want to give you guys some tips on homeschooling your children or child who has ADHD. I know that there are some parents who want to pull their children out of school to possibly homeschool them because they have had an ADHD diagnosis and maybe their child is not doing well in school, or they're being left behind, or they're just not being treated fairly by the teachers. I also know that a lot of homeschoolers who have already been homeschooling are finding out that their kids have ADHD or ADD, and it's a big struggle. Well, I've gone through that in my own homeschool, and I want to share with you guys the tips that have helped us out so much. So my first tip has to do with your curriculum choices. You want to not be stuck to a curriculum, because the curriculum that you love and really want to use for your ADD or ADHD child may not be a good fit for them. When I first started homeschooling, I really loved the classical style of education and I wanted to implement those curriculums into my child's life, but it just was not a good fit. After a lot of trial and error and a lot of different curriculums, I finally found what would work for us. So you guys have to decide what will work for you. Now, if you have a fidgety child, they're probably a kinesthetic or hands-on learner. You might want to work with curriculum and look for curriculum that allows your child to move and that allows your child to be hands-on. And there are a lot of great programs for this. So for us, what worked for language arts was having a bunch of the subjects all grouped together into one course. So we use the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts, which incorporates writing, grammar, spelling, geography, phonics, and picture study and art all in one. So that having everything simplified for me and short lessons for my child is what was perfect for us. Another thing was for math. You might want to try something like teaching textbooks or the Good and the Beautiful Math or Math UC. Those are all hands-on. I'm just telling you about the ones that I have had experience with or have heard about. There's so many others out there. If you go to Kathy Duffy's website, kathyduffyreviews.com, you'll be able to find a lot of different curriculum reviews there. I know that in her book there's actually a little quiz that you can take, and it helps you to determine which curriculum is best for your type of learner. For science, I recommend, if someone has a short attention span, Real Science Odyssey. Those all have very short lessons and hands-on labs for every single science lesson. And then for history, we really like Beautiful Feet History. That has worked the best for us, or Story of the World, because it has lots of hands-on projects and the text is not dry, it's not boring. It's living story, Charlotte Mason type history. That leads to my tip number 2, which is keep your lessons short. It's recommended that if you have a child who has ADHD, that you keep your lessons short to about 20 minutes per lesson. The third tip is to allow room for breaks. You don't have to schedule the breaks. Whenever you see that your child is getting fidgety, it's okay to take a break. If they're having a meltdown, take a break. If they're just really out in outer space and they're not paying attention to you during your math lesson, take a break. My next tip is to allow your child to move. So a lot of the times what I had to do for my child was allow them to do, when I saw that they were fidgeting a lot in their seats, I would tell that child, get up and do 10 jumping jacks and then run back and forth around the house, or go up and down the steps 5 times and do some push-ups until that energy was out of them, and then they could sit down for the lesson. Now, there were lots of days where we had meltdowns especially over math, where there was nothing sinking in because that child was just done and there was no learning that was allowed to happen. The brain was just shut off. My next tip is to stop that subject for the day. It's okay to not finish math in a day. It's okay to not do math for the next 2 days if your child is really frustrated and you need to take a break for a little while and get refreshed. There's plenty of resources as well. A lot of times my child would have a meltdown over math. I would go on Pinterest and I would find a fun activity or game that would introduce the same exact concept that they were getting in their workbooks and have them play a game or do something like that in order to complete the math lesson. And maybe I would, instead of giving them the workbooks, I would do math I would write the problems on the board and make some sort of fun game to get that child to learn their math facts or math problem. Homeschooling a child with ADHD, you have to be really patient and really creative. And that is another tip, is to be patient. It is not your child's fault that they have ADHD. It's not your child's fault that they have to go through this, and it's not fair to them either, but it is what it is, and it's your job as a parent to help them to be able to learn and whatever's best for them. So you need to do what you need to do, to take a chill pill, relax, and have some patience. Take some time to breathe. And remember, your stress is all in here. If you can control what's in here, you can control what you put out into the world and to your child. Along with allowing your child to move around in their seat, they have these great seats that I saw on Amazon, and I'm going to link it in the description below, where it's like a wiggle seat. They sit on it and they get to move around the whole time. Even for my younger learners who don't have ADHD, I would allow them to stand up while they are, because they're very wiggly, while they're doing reading or math, whatever it is they're doing. Sometimes we'll do it on the floor. I don't make my kids sit at a desk all the time if I see that that's not working. You know, because homeschooling is not, it doesn't have to be school at home. You don't have to have a classroom desk, and maybe you want that structure, but maybe your kid just, for that one subject, wants to get up and walk around or spell their words doing jumping jacks. Be flexible and be open to doing whatever it takes. The important thing is that your kid is learning. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if they're sitting at their desk for, you know, an hour doing their work. What matters is that they're learning the material that you're presenting to them, and that they're having a good time doing it, or at least they're not dreading it. Because let's keep it real, what kid really likes school, right? My kids they deal with it and they do very well, and they like it when they're really little. But after a certain age, it's like, you know, how many subjects do we have left? Is it time to move on? Like, is it 3 o'clock yet? One skill the kids who have ADHD is that they can multitask. So it's okay to let your child fidget with something, with a toy, or color in a coloring book while you're reading a story in history or reading their science lesson. Allow them to fidget, as long as they're a child who's able to narrate back to you whatever it is you just said. So I remember when I would be reading to my child and they'd be doing something and it looked like they were not paying attention at all, and then I would ask this child, what did I just say? And they would be able to repeat it word for word. So test your child and see if they have that same skill, and allow them to fidget as you read the lesson. My final tip is to consider doing the reading for them. If there's a subject where your other kids or a typical kid is supposed to be reading, but your child just doesn't want to, or is just having a hard time understanding, read it for them, read it to them. It's okay. You know, you're homeschooling, you have that flexibility to do whatever your child needs. Another tip is to take your homeschooling outside. There were times when I took my kids outside to the playground and we would do spelling on the playground, or every time we did a certain amount of problems, they can go swing 10 times, or they can do the little spinny merry-go-round thing for 15 seconds, and that let them get out all their energy, and it was fun, and they had a goal to work towards at the end of their lessons. So I hope that wasn't too quick for you. I hope you guys got something out of this. What are some tips that you guys have? Leave it in the comments below for other people to see that maybe I haven't mentioned. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell and give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.